my fellow creators, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to play with some fun goodies that Spellbinders sent me. So I got these 4 goodies, which are all part of Mindy Egan's Classic Rose Legends 2.0 collection. And it has stencils, a stamp and die set, and these 2 fun dies. This is the Sedan Street Cruiser, and this is Hot Rod Flames. The stencil is Highway Horizons Desert, and there's kind of a sampling of what it would look like. And then the stamp and die set is Road Trip Adventures Sentiments. So you get the sentiments and the coordinating dies to cut them out. But I did want to mention, when you get dies from Spellbinders, a lot of the time, if you go on the website and you look up that die, if you kind of scroll over to the different images at the bottom, you'll see that there is this cutting guide. So what I'm doing now, I didn't do it at first, but I'm going to go back on a lot of my Spellbinders dies, and I'm going to go and print that and then just put it in my plastic sleeve, because this kind of tells you where each of the dies belongs, because sometimes, especially with the itty-bitty pieces, you're not really sure where does that go. So for example, this little itty-bitty die here, it says rear view mirror, side mirror, and door handle attachments. So it gives you an idea of where everything goes. Now, I will be sure to link to anything that is still available in the description box, my friends. Now we're going to start by putting together the Hot Rod Flames dies to make this pretty car. And I am using Wild Berry for my hot rod, because I thought, you know what, let's make a girl's girl car. So let's put this together. And I did cut out, again, using mostly Spellbinders color wheel cardstock. And I saved this piece here in case I want a matte layer. I'm not sure, but I saved it just in case. So here's all my bits and pieces, and you're gonna see a couple of duplicates because I couldn't decide on what color to make the headlights and some of the other pieces. So I cut out of different cardstocks. I also used some metallic cardstock here. And this one is from, I think it's from the 12 by 12 cardstock shop. I'll look for it and I'll link it in the description box. But let's start putting this together.
So I decided before I start assembling my die, I'm gonna do some ink blending on some of the bits and pieces just to give it a little bit more dimension. So I pulled in some of my distress inks to do ink blending over these ink pieces. And I started ink blending with Festive Berries, but then I also brought in some picked raspberry and did a little bit more ink blending over those pieces. Then I'm going to go and grab some of my carved pumpkin to ink blend over the orange cardstock, which I believe that is carrot cardstock. Then I'll go ahead and grab some fossilized amber and do the same over the yellow cardstock. Now, after I finished this ink blending, I realized I missed a couple of other pieces, so I went back, grabbed those pieces, and did some ink blending off camera. But I think that adds the perfect amount of dimension when adding those pieces to my car. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and add the different pieces of the headlights. And I grabbed the wrong piece for one of these, but I will fix it before putting it on the car. Now, just as an FYI, I did speed up this part of the video, so I'm not ink blending or assembling as fast as it seems because I did speed up the video. Otherwise, we'd be here forever. And then one of the great things I love about Spellbinders dies is when you die cut your cardstock, it does emboss the lines where you're going to layer your other pieces. So that makes it a lot easier to put these dies together. The only thing I have to do, and I'll do this moving forward, because I realized it's something I need to do, is the first time I put together a die, sometimes I don't put it in the right order exactly. Um, so, for example, I've gone ahead and put the headlights on, and you'll see in a bit when I add the layer of the grill that I kind of have to lift the edge of one of the headlights. So what I'm going to do is make note of, okay, put on the grill first, and then you can put the headlights on after that, just so the next time I put this die together, I'll have everything layered in the correct order. Now for the tires, I used a matte black cardstock I had in my stash, and you'll see that I'm using white for the white wall of the tire. So I did that because my idea, or in my brain, tires of these cars have white wall sides. So that's what I did. And then I am using my reverse tweezers to help me attach some of these layers and then kind of hold them together. And then I grabbed a little bit of holographic cardstock, and that's what I'm using as the, um, I guess it's the hubcap of the tire or the rim, whatever you decide to have on your tire. And so I'm doing the same thing for the three different tires on the car. Now here's that grill of the car I was adding. And I know when you think of grills of the cars, you're thinking, metallic, as far as maybe a silver metallic. But I thought since we were doing a pink hot rod, we would make the grill this metallic pink foil. And I think that was a good choice. So here you're going to see where I'm attaching it, and I have to kind of lift that headlight. This is why I'm going to start making note of what order I'm supposed to lay my pieces on. Now here we go, adding the other pieces that I ink blended over. And again, you'll see I need to kind of lift up the grill that I laid before I laid this down. So again, making sure I make note of what order everything goes in is going to be important for me. So now that I have those bits and pieces on my car, I can go ahead and put this decorative flame that goes on the car, and see that ink blending really did help to add dimension to this flame on the card. And I'll be adding something else towards the end as well. And here's where those lines really do help, those embossed lines, because it helps you to place the different portions of your die. Alrighty, so adding the last few bits here. So kind of the undercarriage of the car and floorboard to get those details on the bottom. We're adding the seat of the car to the die cut car. And here I kind of realized, oh no, I don't layer it on top, I layer it behind the car. And then I'll be able to add the steering wheel and the rear view mirror, which are really tiny pieces, but they really do add to the detail of this die cut hot rod. Now here's that other bit of detail I'm adding to the flame. I just grabbed this orange um, ballpoint pen that I had in my stash, and I'm going over the embossed lines and just drawing right over them so you can see that detail a little bit better. Now we get to work on our background pen. Now I'm going to do a little bit different on this one. So here's the landscape one I did off camera. And this stencil is really sized for a landscape card, but there's nothing to say that you can't make a portrait one using the stencil. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Now I'm going ahead and lining these up, and I am just using whatever ink is left on my blending brushes. So at least for now. So I'm not grabbing any other inks. I'm just going in, grabbing some blending brushes and going over my stencils. And I thought it'd be nice to do a little bit of pink hue here, or a red. There is red sand and red rock. So that's what I'm doing here. And then I went ahead and grabbed, where is it? There we go. We grabbed the next stencil to kind of layer the rest of the scene. Now, I know that on the stencil, when you look at this, you're thinking that that's the sun, as a sunset. But I thought I want to make this a night scene. So I'm kind of just going around the edges of what looks like the sun, but it's going to be the moon for me, and adding a little bit of shading there. And I'm going to grab the rest of the stencils here and add another layer. And my mountains, I'm going to just make gray for now. Now I will change that a little bit later on in my ink blending, but at least I kind of know what my scene is going to look like overall. Now with this layer of stencil, it's where I'm going to make my night sky. So again, just bringing in my blending brushes, and these are the brushes I use for my oxide inks, by the way, and then just kind of ink blending over there. And then I am lifting the stencil so I don't get a defined line there, although I think I got a little bit of it, but it'll work out in the end. And then just ink blending over that, bringing in my purple blending brush and kind of going around the edges there. So I think it kind of looks like a night sky. And then once I've got that done, I'm lifting it and I see that there's still some more rock I need to ink blend, and I need to kind of do some more ink blending around my moon. So those are all things I'm just kind of playing it by ear, ink blending where I think I need to. Now here, my ink blending brush, really I didn't have much more ink. So I went and I grabbed some more of my oxides, and I'm ink blending over those rocks again just to make them a little darker. And then I kind of didn't layer it correctly, so there was a white line left there. So I'm going over that so it's more defined there. And I'll go again and go over the purples to kind of help it blend together. And then one last swipe over with my blue blending brush. So now that my panel is ink blended, I am trimming it down to slightly smaller than 4 by 5 1/4. Then I'm going to go ahead and attach that to that cardstock that I kept on the side from my die cutting pieces. And that'll be my matte layer. See? Waste not, want not. So real quickly, I'm going to trim down my card panel because it was a little bit off in size. But now that I've got that trimmed down to the right size, I can go ahead and attach my panel to my top folding portrait card base. I can kind of place my hot rod on there. Now at first I thought, well, let me trim off a piece of it because it's hanging over the edge slightly. But you know what? That's okay if it hangs over the edge a little bit. I think it'll be fine in an A2 envelope anyway. Then I'm going to go over some of the other embossed lines using my white jelly roll pen. And then I decided I would pop up the sentiment that I stamped and die cut off camera, just for a little bit of dimension on this card. So I'm just going to put this up on the top right corner, and then I can go ahead and add some liquid glue to my pink hot rod and add that to my card. I was looking at that night sky and I thought it needed, I don't know, just one more detail to the night sky. So I brought in these Color Essentials gems. It's the Prism AB Color Essential gems, and I added a few of those throughout the night sky. And I think they kind of act as stars in the sky. And I had different colors of these Color Essentials gems, but I specifically chose these. They just, I don't know, added to the color of the night sky. And once I've decided that's enough, because I can't go overboard, I moved on to my next card. Now, this card, I am doing landscape. And I went ahead and stenciled that off camera. And then I did stamp and die cut the Route 66 sign. And I messed up twice, but I didn't want those to go to waste. So I layered those behind the one that I stamped and die cut correctly. Now for this one, I'm using just a holographic paper for my grill and, for all my shiny silver pieces. And I made this car brown. Now, I made it brown for a specific reason. As soon as I saw this die set, I mean, the minute I saw it, I was taken back to when I was 15, friends. So, my brother, who is 7 years older than I am, almost to the day, because our birthdays are 3 days apart, he is the best big brother. He's the one who taught me to drive. And he had multiple cars back in the day. He was in a car club, and so he had some show cars. And he had, a truck, and I think he had at one point 4 cars. So he was the one who volunteered to teach me to drive. And goodness gracious, this car, it was a Chevy, but I couldn't tell you what model. I'll see if I can remember what model it was because I don't want to ask him because I don't want to give this away because this card I'm making for his birthday. I'm 6 months ahead of the game, but I wanted to make it and have it ready since I saw that this die was perfect. So he taught me to drive in that car. And I got to tell you, the patience that my brother has for me, oh my goodness. We were driving, and I was driving very slowly. We're on the streets, driving around the neighborhood. And I was nervous because, of course, I didn't want to mess up his car. And he so patiently just guided me. And on one of the turns I was making, I oversteered and almost crashed his car. Almost, I say, because he very calmly stepped on the brake, turned the wheel in the other direction, and said, "It's okay, adjust, and let's keep going." And I was in panic mode, but he calmed me down and we were able to keep driving. And I thought, I'm the luckiest girl because who else would have a big brother that would allow them to learn to drive, not just to drive, but learn to drive in their show car? And he did. And even though I nearly crashed it, he remained calm and still allowed me to learn in that car. And he taught me in multiple cars, but this one stands out in my mind. And then another thing that was so special about this car, I remember when he first got it, he wanted to reupholster the interior. And, that was going to be kind of costly. And my mom, being a seamstress, said, "Oh, no, 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 I can do that." So she went to the adult school and took a class on upholstering cars, went to it's called Upholstery Fabric Outlet here where we live. And she with my brother chose the fabric and she reupholstered that car, and it turned out great. I mean, that car was just fabulous. And so, this car, this die just brought back all those special memories, and I love it. So, back to putting this together. I'm getting all the bits and pieces on here and kind of assembling it. So, I've got the rear view mirrors on, the side view and the rear view mirror, and the steering wheel. On there before I put that lighter piece of cardstock on because that's the interior of the car. So I wanted to add those other details. And it actually does say on that guide that I showed you at the beginning, it gives you that hint to attach those pieces before you attach the interior. So I did do that. And then that sentiment. So the sentiment that I chose to stamp and place on his card for his birthday is the one that says Route 66. And I think it's perfect, not only because we have Route 66 here in California, but it's going to be his 66th birthday this year. So I thought that was perfect for his birthday card. This car, the Route 66 sign, just perfect for my big brother. And I'll tell you one thing though. I think the trade off for me being able to drive his cars was I always had to help him wash his cars and clean them and get them ready for shows, which I didn't mind at all. I actually enjoyed it. It was time spent with my big brother, and it was amazing for me. So, friends, let me know in the comments below. Do you remember the car you learned to drive in? If you do, Let me know, what car did you learn to drive in? I'd love to hear that. And who taught you to drive? You would think it would be my mom or my dad, but no, my mom didn't start driving till I was probably 6 or 7. And I don't know, my dad was just working all the time. So my brother stepped up and said, I got this. I'm going to add that sentiment to the top left corner and add a little bit of detail. So I brought in one of my Copic markers to do some highlighting of the car, and this is E79 from the Copic. And then I'm going over again those embossed lines and kind of just going over them with my Copic marker to add a little bit of shading detail.
Alrighty, friends, there are my 2 completed cards. Very different, huh? So, as I mentioned, this is going to be a birthday card for my brother, and I'm early on making this, but I had to do it. I just had to do it. His birthday is not until December. It's a few days after mine, so I'm going to hold on to that and give that to him then. And then look at this. I love my little pink hot rod, don't you? So I used the Highway Horizons Desert stencil, as well as the Road Trip Adventure Sentiments, the Hot Rod Flames die, and the Sedan Street Cruiser die. These are all from Mindy Egan's Classic Road Legends 2.0 collection. And there will be an I Want It All bundle for these 4. So I'll link to everything in the description box. But don't you just love the way they turned out? Thanks for sticking around to the end. I'd be thrilled if you subscribed to my YouTube channel or followed me on any of my other social media platforms. As always, have a beautiful, safe, and creative day. Thanks for watching. Bye.